share some of that learning, and to equip other people with tools for people that want to do the same and work alongside children and young people in their work. So thank you very much for joining us. We thought it would be nice to learn a bit more about who's in the audience today. So we have a Mentimeter. Aisling is going to put in the chat a link for you to follow. And we just have 3 questions about who you are and why you think that child and youth participation is so important. So if you click on the first link, is it going to come up in the chat, Aisling?
Yeah, let me stop sharing.
Nancy, I wonder if just for any colleagues who want to use Spanish, could we just show quickly the slide, sorry, Aisling, that shows how to turn on the interpretation?
We've got a slide, but also if you go to the bottom, if you're going to be listening in English, if you could please pick the English translation. There's a little globe at the bottom. If you pick the English translation, and if you're listening in Spanish, please pick the Spanish translation. We have a slide to demonstrate. Okay, so I think we'll move on to the Mentimeter. Bear with us with our slight technical glitches. While we're waiting for the links, just to say that we're really excited to have speakers today from Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Kenya, and Guatemala, and Moldova. So we've got a really global panel today, learning from people across the world. So yeah, if you could click on the link in the chat for the first question on the Mentimeter, we'd like to know what kind of organisation you're joining us from today. Aisling, would you be able to share your screen for the answers?
Yeah.
Thanks. So you can either follow the link or put the code in. Okay, great. So we've got the most is from small NGOs and other. And then we've got 26% from large NGOs, 3% from youth-led organisations, 3% from national governments. Or it's getting a bit more even now. So it looks like mainly large NGOs, small NGOs, and other. Okay, great. So we'll move on to the next question. If you could put that link in the chat. Which the question is about how much you and your organisation work with children and young people in a participatory way. Oh, great. We have someone in the chat saying their other is a university. Great. And someone else's. Brilliant. So do you engage with children and young people in a participatory way? So that's brilliant. The majority is regularly, which is great. That's what we like to see. And then the next is I don't, but other colleagues in my organisation do. And then we have occasionally, and the fewest is never, which is brilliant. Okay, this is great. So the final question, if you follow the final link. So the final question is around what you think the benefits of involving children and young people in care reform are. Experience, yeah. Meaningfulness. Great. Better practice, agreed. Meaningful policy, definitely. better adapted, relevance, serves their needs, agency in their own lives, ownership and relevance, visibility, more effective, accurate ideas. Well, they're jumping around all over the place. Genuine, inclusion. There's a couple in Spanish. Nora, would you be able to interpret some of the Spanish ones?
In Español. Yes, let me see if I can see them. I only see the English. Oh, we have here our work between pairs so that we understand our work. And let me see another one. Can't see another one in Spanish.
I think maybe there's just one.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much. That was just to be a bit interactive. But yeah, you've covered really important points there, and we'll be discussing we'll be incorporating some of those points in the presentations. So without further ado, I want to introduce the first panelist. And as the title of the manual is Children and Young People at the Heart of Care Reform, we really wanted to reflect that in today's workshop. So you'll hear from lots of different self-advocates from different parts of the world and hearing directly from them. So I will pass over to Mihaela now, who is a self-advocate and consultant from Bulgaria, and she'll be talking about why child and youth participation is so important. So over to you, Mihaela.
Здравейте! Hello! Преди 10 години аз участвах в Special Olympics и не вярвах, че мога да спечеля златни медали, защото нямах самочувствие и на много други хора ме повярваха, за да успея. 10 years ago, I participated in the Special Olympics, and I didn't believe I could win.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, Anita. Sorry.
I participated in the Special Olympics, and I didn't believe I could win gold medals. I didn't have self-esteem, but a lot of people believed in me and supported me.
Annetta, I'm really sorry. Is there any way you could sit a little bit closer to the mic? Mihaela is quite clear, but you aren't.
Shall I repeat now, Ashley, or shall I repeat?
Sorry, yes, please. If you could get any closer at all.
So how about now?
I think that's a bit better.
So Michaela said that 10 years ago,
Aneta nos decía, perdón.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I will start from the very beginning.
Thanks.
10 years ago, I participated in the Special Olympics, and I didn't believe I could win gold medals. I didn't have self-esteem, but a lot of people believed in me, supported me to succeed. После дойде Lumos и аз постепенно научих за правата си и това какво е важно за мен и какво искам да правя. Натрупах увереност и самочувствие. Как да говоря пред хора, какво е важно за мен и за моите връзници с увлечения и от домовете. Then Lumos came in my life, and I gradually learned about my rights, what I could do and what I wanted to do. I became more confident, gained the skills and self-esteem to talk to people about what was important to me and my disabled peers and children from big homes. Имах много възможности да се чуе гласът ми от специалисти, политици и много други млади хора по света. Така постепенно се превръщах в самозастъпник, не само за моите права. I had many opportunities to speak up in front of professionals, politicians, other young people around the world. So step by step, I turned to an advocate, not just for my rights. Успявах, защото имах подкрепа, виждах как думите ми въздействат на хората и че е важен и че има смисъл да участвам. I succeeded because I had support. I witnessed how my work affected people and that it is a meaningful participation.
Annetta, I'm really sorry. We're having difficulty hearing you again. I don't know if you can get any closer to the microphone.
Yeah.
It's cutting in and out a little bit, which is tricky for the interpreters.
It is until yeah. So shall I repeat, Ashley?
Yes, if you can repeat.
Okay. I succeeded because I had support. I witnessed how my words affected people and that the participation is really a meaningful thing. За да се научи да участва едно дете, трябва подкрепата на възрастните, на добре обучени специалисти, за да могат за да може то да изрази себе си по неговия си начин. Това особено важи за децата и младите хора с увреждания и от домове. Те са експертите. Кой друг би могъл да каже какво е важно за живота им. In order to learn to participate, a child needs the support of adults, of good prepared specialists, so he or she could express themselves in their own way. This is even more important for children with disabilities or from institutions. They're the experts. Who else could say better than them what's important for their lives? Can you hear that?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
That was the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm really glad that we were able to hear that by the end because it was a really important point. Thank you so much, Mihaela and Annetta, for translating. So next we're going to move on to, it's a video from one of our self-advocates from the Czech Republic talking about how children and young people were involved in developing the manual. So it's a video. Thank you, Ashley.
Hello everyone, I hope you are all well. I'm sorry I'm not able to be with you on the call, but when you're gonna see this video, I'm probably at university taking some of my finals exams this semester, so wish me luck. My name is Eliška. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Youth Advisory Board from Czech Republic. I'm part of the group since 2017. And I would like to talk about how we participated in the process of making the methodics about participation. I really like this project because it was actually a lot of theory, and we were able to put our thoughts on paper and share those thoughts. So that's really nice because most of the activities we actually did were in like practical sense, like we shared the message of participations on some workshops or some conferences. But this is like complex like book which is telling you how you should do this and how to be successful in this, because it's actually not that easy to participate. It's not that simple, and I'm really glad we had the opportunity to make this one. We talk a lot what participation means for us. We actually focused what that mean in like specific things, but also in general. That is really important to know what actually that word means, because it could mean like a lot of things. And I believe that if you would think about the word, everyone would give me like different answer, and that's good. But we needed to somehow like wrap it up in some like kind of definition. Also, this project is really important for me because we worked on it like together in Lumos, and that's, I believe, the most safe environment for me to share my thoughts and to participate. We were able to comment on everything we did, or our coordinators did mostly, and that's a really good example because we just did what we wanted to do and don't have to like bother with things we don't have opinions on. That's actually that's a good thing to know, that we don't have opinions about everything, but on some topics we could definitely share a lot. And I believe it's important for the group to be diverse, because then you could like manage to talk about a lot of topics, because everyone is from different places and different backgrounds, so we could open like more thoughts in general. The coordinator is really important because it's not our teacher, it's not our boss, it's some kind of mentor who could lead us through the participation, who could help us to set our boundaries and how to work with our stories, because storytelling is a huge part of our participation. So that is definitely really important. We talk a lot about how we work, who we are like a group and also as individuals, and what is important for us to make the safe environment where we can be like successful and efficient in the work. I like the quoting. It's important for me because I felt like that could express my opinions in the exact way I want to. And the work was kinda nice because we we were able to talk about a lot before it was done. When we talked about participation, for example, with different organizations, it was kind of like basic, just to show them that we are here, we want to do that, we are ready to do that. Just be open to us and let us participate. But on this project, it was like remembering all the things we did and what worked for us, maybe even the things that did not work for us. That but that's a good thing to know too, that some things are not good and are not working. So I am really glad that this happened and we were able to share this manual with all other people. I mean, what I just want to say that I don't believe it's everything what is written there is that universal, because each group is like different, but there are some like it's like when you are building a house, the concrete is practically always the same, so you can definitely use that in your work, and maybe just change some things a little bit, and you could even apply more things from the manual. But those are things which worked for us, and how we did those things in the past few years, and we believe that we could manage to show other people why is it important, why we want to participate, how we can participate, how that should look like, what is important to keep the group together, or which parts of the participation are the like most important, because some things could be like not that interesting as the other ones. We did a lot of different tasks, like we talk with a lot of different people, so our experiences are really huge, and I'm really glad that we could those in like real life experiences put in one book, whereas it more in general way and more in theory, because we never did that before, actually, in that like that deep way. And it definitely showed us that there are some things that we could work on more, or we could stop doing some things. But it definitely showed us that our work is important, and that's really important for us to see that we actually made something that's actually a huge part of participation, that you could see that those things actually going somewhere. So I don't have a lot of time. I'm sorry I'm not there with you. Hope you are all well, and hope my thoughts made some sense. It maybe could be helpful for you to work on your tasks, and I hope to see you all someday. Goodbye.
Thank you for that, Eliška. Even though you're not here, if you watch this back, thank you very much for taking the time to record that video. So I'm going to pass over to Eugenia now, who's going to give a run through of what's in the manual, what you can expect from it. So over to you, Eugenia.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can listen me well. Okay, waiting for the, Ashley, put please the first slide. So in the next few minutes, I will share a bit about the what you'll find in this manual. Aisling. Yes. So I will tell a short story. She's Maria. She's 12 years old, and she lived the whole her life in a residential institution. Aisling, you can just move, yeah. But as a must, we have to prepare Maria for her independent living, and the participation approach should be like a red line within this entire process of living care. And this process should start from her first days in placement, not in the last few weeks as we are used to prepare for children and young people to leave the care. So in this manual, you will find the answers to the questions which we have in the entire process of care reform, and with a focus on why it is important participation, and you will find answers on how to do this, who can support us, how much time, money we need, what kind of resources we'll need. And this is like a very, very, very practical manual, which will show a lot of information from more than a decade of doing participation on care reform. I think move please to the next slide. So in this manual, you'll find definitions, explanations, you'll find global and country case examples, you'll find a lot of quotes from self-advocates, including pictures. Also, you'll find practical tools, exercises, and methods, and a lot of things to consider and a lot of lessons learned, because all this process was a learning by doing process, and we made mistakes sometimes, and we learned a lot of lessons which are shared in this manual. Next slide, please. So this manual has 5 chapters, which once again are very, very, very practical. And also, as Alicia mentioned and Nancy, that the manual was written, elaborated alongside with our colleagues and alongside with self-advocates from several countries, which I think it's a big asset, and it's more beneficial and useful and meaningful when talking about participation. Next slide, please. So in the first chapter, you will find basic and general aspects related to participation. Alicia mentioned that not this information sometimes is very general, sometimes is quite specific. So we hope that in this chapter you will find information that could be adjusted to different situations and different work field you have. So you will find here that the roles everyone may have, including children and young people who participate, how to motivate them to participate, how to organize activities, what kind of meetings can be organized, which requirements could be, and also how to adjust to emergency situations. For example, as we have had now with the COVID, and also through the entire chapter, you'll find a lot about the things to consider and lessons learned. Next slide, please. So the second chapter is focused more, a lot more on the participation of children and young people in care reform. So here it is described the way of transforming children, young people from beneficiaries who are used to receive support to children, young people who are supporters and who can help us professionals to do our work better and who can help their peers as well. So you will find here information related to participation at different different levels in care reform at different levels, from local level, national level to the international level. And also you'll find information related to how the participation could be possible and concrete examples how children, young people are doing peer-to-peer support, mentoring, how they are involved in doing research, in participating in training activities, in advocacy, in consultation activities, and so on. You'll find that the participation in care reform is most as an answer to the requests and needs in the entire process. So you'll find here that why it is important participation to be meaningful, and we showed here that participation is not a fancy thing to do, but it's something necessary and which has benefits for everyone involved. Next slide, please. Then the third slide, in the third chapter, you'll find information about the safeguarding, protection, which I think it is more than important, because we have to start from the safety of children, young people we are working with. So, but in order to do participation, to start, and to everything to be safe, we have to know as much as possible about each child and young person we work with, in order to make all possible combination and considering their age, their backgrounds, their desires, requirements, needs, possibilities, and so on. So here you can find the important policies they have to take care of, documents such consent forms, risk assessments, and so on. Could you please to the next slide, please? In the fourth chapter, you'll find information about why inclusive participation is important, and maybe it will be an answer to the question if participation is possible for absolutely everyone. Yes. So in this chapter, you'll find that participation could be done with absolutely everyone. It doesn't matter from what background is coming from, the possibilities, the potential, the age. And participation is possible, and participation is bringing benefits for everyone involved. So in this chapter, you'll find more information related to participation and why it should be inclusive. Next slide, please. And the last slide is we shared some tools related to monitoring and evaluation, and also you can find some tools which are used for with self-advocates, with children and young people we work with, but also with professionals and with parents as well. And also you'll find why monitoring and the evaluation is important, not just for us as organizations or as professionals or public authorities, but why it is important for children and young people themselves who participate in the whole process of participation. So the manual, as also Michaela and Eliška mentioned, is sharing why participation should be meaningful and not a tokenistic one. And it's full of very, very practical examples. And it's full of big lessons learned by our specialists. We together, our self-advocates, we work with and alongside with our partners. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Eugenia. Great overview, and I hope it's inspired you all to download the manual after this call and get using it in your own practice. So we wanted to now share a few examples from what participation looks like on the ground. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce Osmin Tobar, who is one of the founding members of United for Change in Guatemala. So over to you, Osmin.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Osmin Tobar, and I'm 32 years old, and I'm here in Guatemala. And today, it's an honor to present you all a group of young people who have aged out or are about to age out from the private and state protection system, Unidos por el Cambio. In English, it would be called United for Change. We are made up of young and determined men and women with lived experience in residential care facilities that want to make a change for themselves and the next generation to come, but also contribute to the childhood care reforms. Next slide, please. Our objective is to support and accompany other young lives who, like us, when they reach 18 years of age, must leave the institutions where they live and make their way towards an independent life where many need to fend for themselves, even though they have never participated in or been part of a community. Next, please. We want to tell you that on March 15th of this year, we presented our work with enthusiasm and hope to the main government bodies in Guatemala mandated with child protection and care, as well as with local civil society organizations. This plan of action was built through a participatory methodology, including the experiences and opinions of all the members of our group. Next, please. So our work plan consists of 4 axes: team building, advocacy, training processes, and establishment of a support network. At this time, I would like to break each of them down. Under team building, please, as a group, we have virtual meetings. Next slide, please. Under team building, as I mentioned, we have virtual meetings every Thursday and 1 in-person meeting once a month to share and overcome the challenges and obstacles that we face on a daily basis to strengthen ourselves as a group. Next slide, please. From the advocacy axis, we want to raise awareness, promote and encourage others to implement actions that guarantee the rights of children and teenagers within the child protection system, for which we have organized public events such as the following. Number 1, the official public lunch of our group to the main characters of child protection and care system and civil society organizations. Number 2, on July 30th, 2022, World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, we will hold a press conference to raise awareness of human trafficking victims and to promote the protection of children and teenagers. And lastly, we will hold a public event on October 1st, 2022 in commemoration of Children's Day. Next slide, please. And the third axis consists of training processes that allow us to strengthen our skill sets as a group to support one another and accompany other youths in their transition process to adulthood and independent living, for which Changing the Way We Care has provided us with a support by implementing training modules that cover, number one, rights and responsibilities of children and teenagers. Number two, how does the child protection or welfare system work and how it affects the lives of children and teenagers. Number three, the lack of protection of children and teenagers by studying the ruling of Ramirez Brothers versus the state of Guatemala. Next, self-care and emotional well-being. And lastly, but not least, communication, expression, and empowerment. Next slide, please. The last axis of our work plan aims to create social and community support networks that will permit us to help our youth find opportunities and access tools that will connect them to their communities. So our activities will consist of, one, seeking and linking institutions and or companies that offer opportunities to our group, which will give them a chance to grow professionally. Next, identify residential care homes that within their population and profile have teenagers who are about to start the transition process to independent living. And lastly, guide our youth to a smoother transition to independent living through linkage to opportunities. These four axes make our work plan. Next, please. Okay, and this is very important. As a group of care leavers, we as Unidos por el Cambio, we ask the child protection system in Guatemala to link our group to other care leavers within the protection system. Next, facilitate the accompaniment of teenagers who are in residential care institutions and in the process of transitioning to their independent life as a support network. And participate and support advocacy. And lastly, promote spaces for participation so our youth voices, wishes, and rights can be heard. Next, please. Well, this is our work plan, and we hope that we can make a difference not only in the childhood care reforms, but in many young lives in Guatemala and around the world. Thank you very much to everyone for your attention. And on behalf of United for Change or Unidos por el Cambio, thank you.
Thank you so much, Osmin. That was really inspiring and good luck. Yeah, we're right behind you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now I'd like to pass the floor to Ruth Washuka, who's based in Kenya, and she'll be talking about the importance of youth-led organizations. So I'm sure there'll be lots of similarities to what Osmin has just been sharing. So over to you, Ruth.
Hi, everyone, and good morning, good afternoon from all parts of the world. It's evening, my time, but I know that those who are just waking up, and I hope you're all doing well. It's great to be able to connect, even at times when everyone is talking about meeting in person, and when that does not work, then technology fills the gap. I am honored to be speaking to everyone today and listening to other speakers on the great works around the world, and in an area that is so passionate to my heart. And like everyone else here, we are all here because we are passionate about this, and we have come from what we used to call good intentions to good actions, and this is really a promising practice. I will be taking us through the importance of youth-led initiatives, but I know Nancy will allow me to blend in with a little bit of child participation. And I'll say I am not going to share slide or a PowerPoint presentation, sorry, but I'll come from a point where I think that far too long we have talked about children and young people voices being important. And I think for me, we need to move from the voices being important to the work being important and them leading in the work, you know, not just bringing in the voices of children, but also making sure that they are leading in the work. And one speaker said earlier on, it's moving from working for them to working with them. And I will come from working with them to allowing them to lead. And that is when we'll come to what our youth-led initiatives look like. We do know that sometimes we have thought that either child or youth participation is a nice thing to have. But we do believe as practitioners that children have a right to participate, young people have a right to participate. And the legal frameworks do provide this, and this is the African Charter for the Rights and Welfare of the Children when it comes to children, and the UNCRC. And all these are enshrined in these charters just to make sure that for us, we might feel it's a nice thing to have, but really we need to know that it's their right. And if we are promoting the rights of children, then it has to come down to participating in decisions affecting them. And like I said, it is not enough when we take their voice, we need to let them do the work. And I love saying, and those who know me, that I'm a proud African. And so sometimes I bear the responsibility of bringing to light some of the amazing work that is coming from my region, Africa, and my country, Kenya. And so for this reason, I want to introduce a regional forum. Some of you might know about it, some may not know about it, but I would love to introduce the African or Association for Caregivers Networks in Africa. Those who've worked in Kenya or in East Africa, you've either in one way or the other connected to Kenya Society of Caregivers. You have connected to Uganda Network of Caregivers. Some have connected to Zimbabwe. And do know that in Africa, we have literally tried to make sure that caregivers can come together. Now, someone might ask why we think we can bring or we have networks. And for me, networks for me are structures. They are safe structures and meaningful structures that young people do think that can work for them. For me, a structure is more like a house. I build a house that I know it's going to offer shelter over my roof. And at the same time, I know I am going to be safe. So what happens is young people want to feel that they are safe and they want to build their own houses. So the African or Association for, sorry, I keep interchanging the two, but the Association for Caregivers Network in Africa is a regional youth-led initiative with members from Zimbabwe, Uganda, and Kenya, established in 2021, with a mission to redefine care living, but also engage the AU, the SADC, and IGAD, which is the African Union, if we talk about the African Committee of Rights and Welfare of the Child. But more than that is to define meaningful youth participation. We all know that a lot of work happens at the country level. A lot of work is happening at the global level, but there was a gap with connecting the global, the national, and the regional. So ACNA comes in place to offer a regional structure or a space where young people from African countries can come together and redefine care living. but also equally support and strengthen the national caregivers networks. We've had people say they would want to establish a network in Zambia, but then as an individual, that is why I saw a point about individual participation versus group participation. So we thought it's sustainable for a regional initiative to strengthen national caregivers network. Beyond that is to advance the Africa Agenda 2063, which, like I said, when we're Africans and we're passionate about Africa, Africa is our business. We just want to make sure that we're not just leading conversations, but we are active participants, in the global agendas, and we do not want to be left behind. Having said that, I think we grow, we start work at the national level, we grow to the regional level, and just listening to what is happening all around the world, I think no better time to have structures than now. I think I was a child first before I became a young person. And so it's only justifiable if you allow me to touch a little bit about child-led initiatives, and also to introduce to you an amazing, amazing initiative called the Pan-African Child-Led Organization. It is the first regional initiative in Africa that is child-led, designed by children, but supported by adults. Children came together to define a space they thought is safe, is meaningful, is going to give them a meaningful structure to participate in decisions in the decisions affecting their lives, but at the same time being supported by adults. And what stands out for me for Pan-African Child-Led Organization, or PACLO, is the governance structure that allows children to form the African Council children and then the adults. And when children were asked why they think this is important, and they say they do not want to be recipients of decisions made by adults. But at the same time, why they thought forming a child-led initiative is important is because they said it is intimidating being in an adult-dominated space. We all know what this means, but for me, closer to my heart is the thematic areas, including one that is children without parental care. And this year, a 15-year-old girl from Kenya was appointed to the Children's Advisory Council with Child Rights Connect, which is a strategic partner to the UN. We all, those who are engaging the UN at the highest level, do know that there is a Children Advisory Council. And so a 15-year-old from PACLO has been appointed, I almost said anointed, has been appointed to that council. And when Mary, that's her name, at least in no states, I can mention the name, when she was asked, what do you want to bring forth? She said, when I went to care, she's a girl who's growing up in care. She's currently in care in my country, Kenya. And she said, when I went into care, no one asked me whether I wanted to go to care. Now, my question is, who will decide when I leave and where I go to? So close to my heart is the child-led initiative, PACLO, and for me is that thematic area, children without parental care, and just seeing that globally, all over the countries in the world, that they only had 8 children appointed, and that came from Kenya, and specifically a child living in care. So you all know how that is close to our subject today. So what am I saying? Perhaps Mary wouldn't have had the chance to join the council if the structures were not child-friendly structures, But because there was an existing of a child-led initiative that was designed by children, and her included, then make sure that this is what works for me and for us and for other children. And more than anything is accountability. Children often have said many times when they're engaged, no one comes, there's no clear feedback mechanisms. Many people will say, yeah, we have a feedback mechanism in an organization. My question is, how child-friendly is the mechanism? And so today I am in awe of the Child and Youth Participation Manual that gives practical guidance on how, when. Many people will ask, how do I engage them? What do I do? But now we have a manual. It's gonna give us direction. How do we want to engage this? How do we want to engage that? And more importantly, might endeavor to reach out to youth-led initiatives at the regional level. I've mentioned one, the youth-led initiative, ACNA, and I've mentioned the child-led initiative that has children without parental care as a thematic area. I think I have talked about my region enough. And I want to finish by saying that we are not going to end with voices. Let's go to work. Let's allow children to lead the work. Let's allow young people to lead in the work. And the how lies in that manual. Many thanks for having me, and over to you, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Inspiring as always. And lots of great work going on, and still lots of work to be done. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And we have one last speaker, last but by no means least. This manual is aimed at practitioners, so we also wanted to highlight some best practice from practitioners in the field. So I would like to pass you over to Jana from the Czech Republic, who's from the Judicial Academy and has been doing some fantastic work around making the family court processes more child-friendly. So over to you, Jana.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Thank you for inviting me today. It's very interesting for me to have possibility to hear literary experience from all over the world. I really appreciate it. And as it was told, I would like to share some thoughts about how do we try to realize child participation within the specific part of the child protection system, meaning the family law justice system. As it was told, I'm working at the Judicial Academy of the Czech Republic, which is the official institution meant to train judges and state prosecutors in the Czech Republic. And I've been working there for 12 years now, and I'm responsible for training of family law judges in the Czech Republic. At the very beginning, I would like to really thank to Lumos because our cooperation started some 5 years ago, and thanks to this cooperation, we had a great opportunity to see many interesting good practices and courts and associations in London, and I really appreciate the support we are given in Prague, and it really helped us as a training institution to become more open and more sensitive to the whole idea of participation of children, but also of other groups of people. And I think that thanks to this cooperation, also family law judges in the Czech Republic became more sensitive and more open to this way of thinking about their job and their duties. Today, I would like to share with you some thoughts about two specific activities. The first is our focal groups. It is a way how we do try to involve voice of young people to how we create the training activities for family law judges. So far, we have created two focal groups. First of them was composed by young people with experience of divorce or splitting up of their parents. And within this situation, they were in contact with courts and judges. And the second focus group, and you can see the picture of it, this focus group was composed of young people who were taken off the care of their biological parents and that were put into institutional care. You can imagine the focal group as a one-day session when we discuss with these young men and women. There is always at least one judge at the focus group, and also we have an expert on participation from Lumos, and we are really glad to have them there. It's very helpful, and it makes all the session very safe to children. As I said, 2 focus group took part. We plan to have 2 other focus group. The third one will be composed of children and young people with experience of foster care. And the 4th focus group will be composed with young people with experience with juvenile, meaning like criminal juvenile justice. But during this focus group, at the very beginning, and you can see it on the picture, the participants are trying to write down messages to judges. And so they usually put like good practices and bad practices. And afterwards, the young participants are invited to a big seminars, and then they read and they explain the messages from the focus group to the judges. As far as we know, like the main highlights from the focus group was that, and it applied mostly to the focus group composed by young people from institutional care, that only 20% of them was or had the opportunity to speak with their judges. It was a very bad news, and therefore we know that we have to focus on it, that we have to really tell the judges that children in this situation then they have to be told that they have right, and the judges they had to guarantee that that the right may be realized. And on the other hand, and it applied to the second group. The group was composed with the young people with experience of divorcing parents. Then it showed up the judges, and it was a bad practice that judges tend to take children and young people as a source of information. Then they try, if they are speaking with kids, they try to get as many information from them. And we try to, and one of the messages was, don't do this, please, judges. Kids are not there to give you all the information. You have many other ways how to get this information. Your role is to make the child calm, to explain what is going on, what is the situation the children is, and to try that the situation is as smooth as possible. So it was like 2 very important messages we got through this focal groups, and we really appreciated that we organize it, and as I told you, we are going, of course, to continue, and it is a very good way how to good information about what to do in the way of organizing training for judges. It's really very, very helpful to us. And this second photos, it's how we try to involve children and young people to the training itself. You can see a picture of our new training. It's about how to, it's about how to lead the interview, like meaning within the court proceeding, how to interview kids and children safely. You can see on the picture like 4 peers, 4 young people who are trained to speak about their stories safely, and to share their experience with judges. And already we have around 400 family law judges in the Czech Republic. So far, we have around 50 judges that underwent this kind of training, and we are willing to train all of them in next 3 years. And as far from the feedback, the judges say that it is for many of them the first possibility to have this kind of authentic feedback for their work, because to be a judge is very lonely job, and very often the only feedback district court judge may get is from appellate court, not from the participant. And so they really appreciate this authentic training involving young people. So yes, once again, thanks to Lumos for their support, and yeah, hopefully somebody may be inspired by what we do, because really it's very helpful, and we really appreciate to have it involved in our training and in our methods. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jana. Yeah, really inspiring project, and one that I feel like should be replicated around the world. So we've got 5 minutes left. We've had a question come in. We've into the Q&A chat box. I think we probably only have time, unfortunately, for one question, but this is directed, oh no, we've had quite a few come in since then, which is great, but unfortunately I don't think we'll have time to answer them all. But this question came in for Osmin and Ruth, and it said, it's amazing the work you are both doing with your peers. I imagine it is a lot of work for you all. What are the challenges to participate, and what helps? What do you get personally out of taking part in it? So I wonder if you could answer that question in 1 to 2 minutes each, if that's possible. Osmin, would you, you've responded in the chat, but would you answer that question for all the participants?
Of course, of course. So thank you for your question, Justin. It's a pleasure to have you on with us here, and your participation. So yeah, for me, the biggest challenge we have faced so far has honestly been the pandemic restrictions, because it has made it more difficult to be able to reach to other youths who are outside of the city, right, or in urban areas, and it has made it really difficult with the lack of access of internet, of having able to connect to online. A lot of youth don't have a smart device to be able to connect to. So the only way to participate is when we have in-person meetings a lot of the times, or the other challenges that while they're trying to make a change, not only in their lives, in other lives, they also have they also have to support themselves through a job, which a lot of the times employers don't understand our situation, our background, and the difficulties that we had to overcome just to get to where we are today, right? And it takes a toll, because when we're trying to do something positive and make an impact on society, these employers don't understand, and it makes it difficult for them to participate like they would want to, right? And lastly, so I think that's the biggest challenge that we see here. And I think the other question was what has helped. Well, first and most importantly, I do want to go ahead and mention changing the way we care. They have been our backbones to who we are and what we have been able to accomplish in the last less than a year. Okay, they are our biggest supporters, right? They motivate us to continue, even though we may have bad days, we might have negative thoughts, but they're there to support and to keep inspiring us to continue, even though we may have challenges, we may have ups and downs. They are there to go ahead and truly care for us as youth and children. So that's the biggest help that we have seen. And personally, for me, as a as a victim of not only human trafficking, right, or adoption, should I say, I also lived in the institutions, right? And I've seen what goes inside the doors or inside the walls, where a lot of the most people in society wouldn't know what goes inside, right? So I have, with that experience, for me, for a very long time, it was really hard for me to connect to any type of social group or organization, right? But with the group that we have created, right, I feel at home. I feel like I'm one of them. And it's really rare to feel like you fit in somewhere, right? So with this group, I'm one of them. We're here together. We talk about our experiences, our challenges, and we find a lot in common. And that's a really good feeling when somebody understands us, when somebody has gone through the same events or have the same past, or may not be what society calls positive influences in society when we're at the age of 18, the 19, when we barely know who we are. And society wants to judge us as soon as we go to the real world and label us and put us in a category and boxes, when all we want to do is just be free and have the tools to have a better future. And that's a right that we have. And I think our logo represents that. I don't know if you guys seen it, but our logo has our country with our beautiful indigenous culture that we have here in Guatemala. It also has our bird, our symbol, our national symbol, which is called a quetzal, and that represents the liberty to have a better future for ourselves. And lastly,
I'm so sorry to interrupt your really inspiring words. Please accept my apologies for that. We're actually over time. We're about a minute over the closing time. So maybe I can get a few more things in writing from you and from Ruth, and over to you, Nancy, to close the session. Sorry, Osmin.
No, it's okay.
Thank you, Osmin. They were really important points that you were sharing. Yeah, I'm really sorry that we've come to the end of our session today. I'm sure there's lots more we could discuss, and there's lots more for future discussions. But I'd really encourage everyone to download the manual. And we really don't want it to just stay on a bookcase. Please use it. And if you have any questions, please let us know. We'd really love to help you implement it in your own work. It's available in English, French, Spanish, and Romanian. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all the fantastic speakers, and wishing you a brilliant day wherever you are in the world. Thank you all.